Hey guys, DC Multiverse Dude here, taking a review at the McFarlane Collector Edition Superman from Action Comics #1. Now this is the Platinum variant of that Collector Edition Superman. I had the original version, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted this Platinum version for reasons I'll get into during this review. But thank you to Head Start Toys and McFarlane Toys for sending me this very hard to get figure for review. Without any further ado, let's have a look at the packaging. We've seen this all before. It's the classic McFarlane Collector Edition packaging that we've come to know and, well, maybe love. I don't know, but we'll get into that during the review. You'll see that it is the Platinum Edition 85th anniversary of Superman. It comes with that sort of reflective foil logo down the side. You'll see Superman in there. McFarlane Collector Edition, Action Comics #1, although arguably that's not super accurate, but we'll get into that. That classic artwork on the back from Action Comics #1 that absolutely does not reflect the figure in this box. And Superman, and you'll see it's #1 in the McFarlane Collector Edition line. So without any further ado, let's get this figure out of the box and see how cool it actually is. So first, let's take a look at the accessories. And in this particular box, there's actually quite a lot of accessories, a good amount of plastic, extra stuff in the box. I just don't think it's the stuff that most of us would have really wanted. So, for example, you know, I've been through it before in my video about this collector's edition line, but these card stands, no one really wants them. Well, some people might, I certainly don't, and I wish they'd use this plastic budget for something else. This is exactly the same as the other card stands we got with Abyss and with Alan Scott, and yeah, they're pretty worthless, taking up a lot of space in the box. It comes with a collector's card, which again is this really nice looking card with the logo for collector's edition down the side, and that more silver foil look. You can read that if you want. Yeah, the cards are given and it's nice. You'll see that this figure comes with a flight stand. So thank you, McFarlane, a flight stand. We've been seeing less flight stands recently, but I'm happy to say this figure comes with one. This is a bit different from the normal flight stands in that it comes with a stamped DC logo. So that is pretty cool, I guess, even though these flight stands themselves, you know, they're not the greatest, but they are what they are. This also comes with a regular display stand. We've seen it a million times. Like the other collector's edition display stands, this one has the painted DC logo on it in silver, although you see that the paint on this is not great, but it's fine. You know, it comes with both stands, which I think is pretty good. And finally, you'll see he comes with this chain accessory. It's sort of this barely painted plastic. It's just molded in grey plastic. It looks fine. There's no wire in it. It's just molded plastic. So the idea being you'd put it around him and simulate him busting out of the chains. You know, it's okay. It's okay. I query though why Superman doesn't come with any alternate hands and he comes with a chain. So no flight hands, for example. So we'll get to that. Let's have a look at the figure. So the figure itself is actually really quite nice. I think this is the better of the two variants of this Action Comics Superman that McFarlane has put out, which is why it's a bit unfortunate that this is the Platinum Edition and not the regular edition. This purports to be an Action Comics #1 Superman, although, you know, those familiar with the source material will note that the logo on his chest is not the Action Comics #1 logo that we saw on the collector's card. And the boots are much higher than the boots, the little red boots that we saw in Action Comics on the cover. Of course, in the actual pages of Action Comics #1, Superman did not have red boots at all. So by any metric, I don't think this is an accurate representation of Action Comics #1 Superman. What this really is Superman #1 to my eyes. He's got the red boots. He's got that logo, which is sort of somewhere between the Action Comics #1 and the modern Superman logo. And he's got the red trunks, the yellow belt, although you see that the belt loops are not painted red. This is really a Superman #1 Superman for me, and that's how I'll be treating him in my display. So whether he really should be Action Comics #1, I'll leave that for you to debate with me in the comments. In terms of the figure itself, he is identical to the Action Comics #1 regular version, save for 3 areas. So the first area is that this version, let me take the display stand away, this version has red boots. Now, the Action Comics #1 regular variant does not have red boots, but it has the sculpted boots in blue, and that looks really odd. So I think this is a much better look. The shade of blue for this Superman is a much richer and deeper blue, darker than the Action Comics #1 blue. I actually really like the color of the Action Comics #1 Superman, but this is a beautiful blue as well, just a little bit darker. And of course, the main difference is that emblem. It's painted on much like the Action Comics #1 emblem is painted on, but this is the more classic S design in that upside down triangle formation, replicating that Superman #1 look. The head sculpt is exactly the same, and I actually think it's a really solid head sculpt. It's got like a stern sort of knowing expression. So he's got a bit of a smirk, a stern look in his eye. It's actually a really good look for Superman, I think. Very stylized, very 1940s. And I think that's what they were going for, and I think they nailed it. The big issue for me is that this is using that infected body buck. The infected body buck was good for the infected Superman. I think we've seen it a few too many times now. And the proportions, they're okay. He's very, very top heavy, very muscular, and then he's kind of got these little weedy little legs. In some pages of the comic from the time, this is how Superman looks. He's got a kind of a strongman vibe. But in other panels, he doesn't quite look like this. But, for something that's putting itself out as the collector's edition with unique sculpts and paintwork, this ain't it. I think he could have used his own body buck, to be honest. And I think that would have been a whole lot better. So a good figure, really handsome in the collection, but could have been better. Another thing I'll note is that these hands, he gets one fisty hand and one sort of grabby gesture hand, but no flight hands. So, what are you meant to do if you want to pose this guy in a flight pose? Yeah, I guess you have to do something like this. You're limited to sort of a more static, floating pose as opposed to a flight pose, which this character just does not have the hands to accomplish. So that's a little bit of a shame. I think given that we got that, the chain accessory, the card stand accessory, we could have really skipped both of those and just give us, maybe an alternate head with some laser heat vision effects coming from the eyes, or some extra flight hands. There are other accessories that we should be getting with our figures, I think, and not this sort of card stand and other stuff that, McFarlane's throwing in the box. But look, in this particular pose, he looks quite good. He's got that sort of fist hand, the gesture hand. The articulation is everything we've seen before from the infected body buck. This is a good-looking figure. I like it, and I recommend it if you can get a hold of it. I think this is the one to get over the regular variant, but of course, it's getting hard to find this guy now. Let's do some comparisons and then wrap up the review. So here is Action Comics #1 Platinum Superman posed next to the figures that, I think you could display him with if you were trying to build some sort of classic looking or gold and silver age style Justice League. Here he is with Nightfall Batman and the Flashpoint Build-A-Figure Wave Flash. Now, these character designs all don't strictly go together. They're not comic accurate, but I think for a display purpose, if you wanted a sort of a Superman to go alongside Nightfall Batman or alongside this Flash or vice versa, these are 3 that go together really well. Of course, you could chuck in Alan Scott and Jay Garrick, and you'd have a really sort of classic looking Justice League / Justice Society display. I think these scale quite well. Superman is beefier than the others, which works well. A little bit taller, which also works well. And I think it's a good look. So if you're thinking of displaying him with any other figures on your shelf, I think these would be good choices. And you see the colors really pop. The blue is brighter than Batman's. He looks good with sort of the red from Flash. They all just look really, really nice together. So to sum up, Platinum Action Comics #1 Superman is a definite buy if you can find him. He's not perfect, he's definitely overpriced, but we've been through that before. But it's a really good sort of classic retro Superman for your display, if that's something that you're interested in having. As I said, it's more Superman #1 than Action Comics #1, but it's a really, really nice figure. And if you can track it down, I highly recommend getting it. So once again, thanks to Head Start Toys and McFarlane Toys for sending this through for review. It's much appreciated. And look out for some more reviews coming very, very soon. In the meantime, happy collecting and thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Leave me a like and let me know in the comments what you think of this Superman. Till next time, bye.